They say it only takes a week to get used to something new, so I took on the challenge and made the new 14-inch M4 Pro MacBook Pro my one and only computer for a week. Let me tell you, this thing left me with some serious mixed feelings. The first impression of opening the box was kinda disappointing. The reason is simple. Apple didn't even bother to update the wallpapers on the packaging. It just felt like a total replay of last year's unboxing. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a deal breaker. I don't think most buyers or anyone grabbing the M4 is really gonna mind. Plus, let's face it, the M4 isn't for people who just upgraded. This machine's aimed at folks still running M1 Pro, M2 Pro, or even those with older MacBook Air models. For them, this will feel like a proper upgrade. I have people in my YouTube agency still using the M1 Air, and I think it's time for them to upgrade. With new Macs, they will definitely be more productive and help me create even better videos. As for improvements, they're all on the inside. Again, classic Apple move. But this year, it's more than just a spec bump. I've always been a fan of the mini LED screens. They are colorful, sharp with those deep blacks, and they get pretty bright too. But now, they crank this one up to 1000 nits in SDR brightness. Trust me, that jump from 600 to 1000 is no joke. Here's the catch though, it doesn't hit 1000 nits all the time. According to Apple's site, that brightness is really meant for outdoor use. And yeah, from my tests, it seems like it only goes full power when the ambient light sensor detects enough light around you. So day to day, you'll probably be getting around 600, 700 nits most of the time. I didn't have a lux meter on me, but that's what it felt like. And honestly, I don't think Apple really went out of their way to re-engineer this display. They didn't go full tandem OLED like they did on the iPad Pro. This is still the classic mini LED, and yeah, it's still got some quirks. The biggest one is the limited number of local dimming zones. If you're watching the movie in a dark room, you will see those halo effects around bright parts on the screen. It's not terrible, but it can be a little annoying, especially during dark scenes. That said, you do get used to it after a while. Now, here's a little hack for those of you still using an older 14 or 16-inch MacBook and craving that peak brightness. Check out the Vivid app. Lets you crank up the brightness of your display manually, hitting HDR peak levels of up to 1600 nits. Yeah, that's right, 1600 nits, which actually tops the 1000 on the M4 Pro by a fair bit. Just a heads up though, maybe don't blast it at max brightness for too long. It shouldn't hurt anything, but we're still talking about a $2,000 machine here. Probably best to play it safe. You know, regardless of the Mac you choose, there are apps that every user has to have. One of such apps for me is Wondershare Recovery, the sponsor of today's video. I work with video files, and sometimes I can accidentally delete the stuff I need or just to access files that I've already deleted in the past. But luckily, can all be recovered. First off, this tool supports 2,000 plus storage devices and 1,000 plus file formats. That's massive. From system crashes to virus attacks, it's got me covered in over 500 real-life data loss scenarios. And for people like me, Recovery has this enhanced photo and video recovery feature that's next level. It even pulls back deeply hidden or corrupted files without breaking their quality. Then, again for me, there's NAS data recovery. No need to unplug or mess with my NAS storage. It remotely recovers all the data. And if you are a Linux user, Recovery also supports ext4 file systems, but internal memory recovery is just the tip of the iceberg. SD cards, external drives, cameras like Canon, Sony, DJI. Recovery now has 99.5% recovery success on these devices. That's crazy reliable. What else? The user experience is buttery smooth. Startup is lightning fast. It supports formats like SCR and EML and even renames recovered files smartly. No more untitled document 99 clutter in my desktop. And for Macs, there is APFS system scanning with real-time previews of your files, which is a rare thing to see in such apps. So whether it's accidental deletion, a failed SD card, or even NAS troubles, Wondershare Recovery is like having a safety net for your data. I will leave a link in the description. Be sure to try it out. But like I mentioned, the big story this year is all about what's under the hood, the M4 Pro chip. Apple has been rolling out these incremental boosts year after year, but this time it finally feels like a proper upgrade. As a YouTuber, I'm deep into creative work, and let me tell you, the M4 Pro is a powerhouse for that. For video editing, this thing is a beast. I've edited on every generation of M series chips, and they've all been solid performers, even with my heavy footage. Now, I'm not talking about red footage with those crazy codecs. I stick to my Sony FX3, and this Mac goes through that footage with zero problems. Doesn't matter if I'm using DaVinci or Premiere, loading up effects, or color grading, the timeline stays buttery smooth. Full quality preview doesn't drop a frame, and export times are super quick. And the best part, after a solid 2-hour editing session, the fans are barely audible and the Mac is barely warm. M4 Pro's efficiency is on another level compared to the M3 Pro and M2 Pro, which could get a bit toasty. And these aren't basic videos either. My projects are packed with effects, multicam editing, background separation, animations, the whole 9 yards. Usually pushes a laptop to its limits, but the M4 Pro handles it without breaking a sweat. And let's talk about memory. With the older M3 and M2, it was pretty easy to max out the RAM on big projects, which would lead to swap memory kicking in. Not great for the SSD in the long run, but now with the M4 Pro, I'm working on my projects with a bunch of Safari tabs open, file transfer going in the background, and still have plenty of memory headroom. Smooth multitasking, no problem. When it comes to stuff like thumbnail and photo editing in Photoshop or Lightroom, this Mac doesn't miss a beat. The fast SSD and 24 gigs of memory make the whole experience feel seamless. It reminds me of when the M1 launched. Everything felt so light and fast that it actually made work more enjoyable. Now with the M4 Pro, it's the same deal, but cranked up a notch. Already short wait times are even shorter now. Handles everything so effortlessly that I actually look forward to editing these days. Now for programming and coding. I've got to be real with you, I'm not exactly the coding type. That's why I'm here on YouTube. I can tell you that in Xcode tests, this machine performs noticeably faster than the M3 Pro. And Apple mentioned some AI features coming to Xcode too, so if those are live by the time you're watching this, this could be a real game changer for developers. Who knows, maybe we're just a few upgrades away from having Apple Intelligence write code for us. And speaking of Apple Intelligence, this is where things get interesting. I gave it a shot on my old M1 Pro, and while it worked fine, I could still feel it lagging a bit. Here, with the M4 Pro, it's on another level. Faster, more accurate, and just smoother overall. Not every feature is out yet though. Siri can call up ChatGPT now, which is cool, but it's not the full Siri revamp people were hoping for. There's also Image Playground, which sounds fun, but feels a bit limited in styles for me. The real MVP so far is the cleanup tool in Photos. It's quick, effective, and something I actually find myself using regularly. I gotta say, I've got a good feeling about this one. The way it's handling Apple Intelligence right now shows some serious potential for even bigger models and features in the future. Plus, with 24 gigs of memory on board, this Mac's got plenty of headroom to support these updates for years to come. And battery life is actually fantastic. The 3nm process is no joke. This 14-inch model easily powers through the day, and there is usually enough juice left for a movie afterward. For context, my 16-inch M1 Pro needs a battery swap around the 3-year mark since I have to charge it twice daily. But the M4 Pro, way more efficient, and Apple's using even better batteries now, so I'm betting this one will still be strong 3 years from now. One thing that does bug me though, it's getting harder every year to tell which Mac is the newest. I could line up all the 14-inch model and they would look practically identical. Unless you crank the brightness up, there's no visual clue as to which one's which. Has Apple just committed to this design for good? I really hope not, because there's room for improvement, starting with the notch. How long do we have to wait for Face ID? Here's the thought. I think this Mac might actually hint that Face ID is on the way. The biggest challenge with Face ID tech is its thickness, and the same goes for quality cameras. But this year, Apple squeezed in a new 12-megapixel wide camera with center stage and desk view. That takes some serious engineering to keep that module so thin. So yeah, Face ID feels inevitable. Maybe not in the M5, but it's coming. And honestly, that would be the perfect time for a design refresh. For now, if the camera is a big deal to you, this one's solid, still 1080p on video resolution, but the image processing is improved. Center stage is a neat touch, and desk view works surprisingly well, though it's got a bit of a stretch look. Overall, pretty impressive. Good for tutorial videos, and by the way, such videos get tons of views and can make a lot of money. There's one upgrade I haven't been able to test yet, and probably won't for a while: the Thunderbolt 5 ports. Reason simple: I don't have an external SSD that supports it. All I've got is a Samsung SSD that doesn't even max out Thunderbolt 3, and honestly, I'm not planning on upgrading my storage just for this. And for 99% of users, this isn't even an issue. If you're someone who uses Thunderbolt drives, you're probably not in a rush to buy new gear just to hit Thunderbolt 5 speeds. So, should you go for the base M4 Pro config? Depends on what you're looking to get out of this Mac. $2,000 isn't a small change, so you want every dollar to work for you. So here's a simple breakdown. If you're a casual user and don't plan to get into heavy workflows, the base M4 at $1,600 should do the trick. You will get all the new Mac perks minus the extra power. Now, if you need a machine for moderate work, go for the base M4 Pro. No need to upgrade the memory or pay for the unbent chip. The performance difference isn't enough to justify the cost, and resale value doesn't jump much for the upgraded version compared to the stock model. But if you are going hard on productivity, the M4 Max is where it's at. That's the real power upgrade. Just skip the unbent version unless you are okay with it running hotter and louder than usual. After using this Mac for a while, I've got to say, it's grown on me. I feel like I'm genuinely connected to this one. Maybe because it's finally that worth it upgrade, but if I were still on an M3 Pro or even an M2 Pro, I would probably hold off unless I really needed that extra performance boost. But that's just me, you do you. And to make picking out your next Mac even easier, we are working on a definitive buying guide, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.